Without a doubt, Last-Ditch Effort may be one of the most busted perks in Splatoon 3. When you look at the description of Last-Ditch Effort, it tells you that it boosts the ink recovery rate and weapon ink efficiency rate for the last 30 seconds of a battle. This is specifically the turf war description of this perk. However, when it comes to ranked battle, this perk does so much more when you're playing either Splat Zones, Tower Control, Rainmaker, or Clan Blitz. So I'm going to explain. What's up guys, of course, it is that SW2 dude. If you do enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video because what I'm going to tell you about Last-Ditch Effort is absolutely mind-blowing. So as we saw from the description, it boosts the ink recovery rate and weapon efficiency rate. But how much does it really boost a weapon? Well, when applying Last-Ditch Effort, we have to kind of look at ability points and how much it's worth. So Last-Ditch Effort applies Ink Saver Main, Ink Saver Sub, and Ink Recovery. If you were to apply one of these perks and look at it as one main, one Ink Recovery main is worth 10 ability points. Some would look at that and think that's quite a lot. But how much is Last-Ditch Effort when applied? Yeah, nah, these are the ability points when you put Last-Ditch Effort on. You get 24 ability points of Ink Saver Main, Ink Saver Sub, and Ink Recovery, all in just one ability. This in total is 72 ability points. Just so you guys understand how much that is, if you were to put a pure of every single one of those perks onto a gear build, this is how much it would add up. One pure of any of these equal 19 ability points. You basically have a whole efficiency build placed in one perk alone, as long as the requirements are active. What are those requirements though in ranked? We already know what it is in Turf War, it's the last 30 seconds of a battle. So when it comes to ranked battle, there are actually two phases of Last-Ditch Effort. At the start of a game, Last-Ditch Effort will not be activated, meaning the perk will be there, but you won't have any benefits from it. However, as the game progresses, if you start losing the game at 50 points or past 50 points, the first phase of Last-Ditch Effort will be activated. Now, phase 1 of Last-Ditch Effort gives you half the benefits of the perk. With all the efficiency abilities it gives, you will get 12 ability points for each. In a gear build, this is basically what that looks like. You pretty much have one main of every single perk and one sub of every single perk. Obviously, a sub perk of any of these equals up to 3 ability points, but it's close enough to the point of how much benefit you'd be getting from Last-Ditch Effort. Just a good way to know how much you're getting, of course. The second phase of Last-Ditch Effort activates when you are losing a game by 30 points or less. And this is when Last-Ditch Effort comes into full effect, where you get 24 ability points of all the efficiency perks in the game. So you'll be endlessly shooting, you'll be able to use your sub weapon as much as possible, and you'll be recovering your ink extremely quickly. You've pretty much become a super inkling at this point. And that is pretty much what Last-Ditch Effort does. Now, we have to kind of think, what do we want to use Last-Ditch Effort for? I think there are many different situations for why you'd want to include this on a gear build. And I think one of the key things is this: being able to spam bombs as much as possible. I don't know if you've personally seen what Last-Ditch Effort looks like in effect, but these video clips should give you a really good idea of what it looks like. If you have any bomb, whether it's a splat bomb, suction bomb, torpedo, then personally, I think your weapon is perfect to have Last-Ditch Effort on. I think it works really nicely in cases for weapons that also have splash walls, because you pretty much be able to throw your splash wall whenever you want, and you pretty much have an endless capacity of ink to continue shooting as much as possible. So I'm just gonna go through a list of weapons where I think Last-Ditch Effort works really well. Pretty much all of these weapons, Last-Ditch Effort would work really well since they all have splat bombs. All these weapons that have suction bombs, Last-Ditch Effort will also work really well. In terms of burst bomb weapons, maybe not so much. I mean, I could see it working with the Splatana Wiper, since when you're using the burst bomb with this weapon, it burst bomb combos really, really easily. So that might be a decent weapon to use Last-Ditch Effort with. I can also see it with the Splash-O-Matic, where you're most likely to be able to use burst bombs more often. I'm not too sure about the mini Splatling, but that's up for debate. It would be more of a thing of, if you really want to use Last-Ditch Effort for this weapon, then you could, but at the end of the day, it depends on what you want to do. You probably don't need to use Last-Ditch Effort on sprinkler weapons, since you're not going to be spamming it as much. You could use Last-Ditch Effort on any sort of splash wall weapon. It might be a little bit lower in terms of your priority of what you want to use Last-Ditch Effort with. I think it'd be really nice on a squeezer, since the weapon itself is really ink hungry, so being able to throw the splash wall and then endlessly shoot with the weapon is always nice. As for the 52 Glau and Fluga, it might not be so necessary, but it won't be a bad thing if you did include it. All the fizzy bomb weapons, I feel like Last-Ditch Effort would probably work extremely well, since you'll be able to throw even more fizzy bombs. I can definitely see it being in the case with the ballpoint as well, since it's also a really ink hungry weapon too. You're probably not going to need to use last-ditch effort on curling bomb weapons. You can use last-ditch effort on auto bomb weapons as well if you really want to, but not, I mean, I guess the selection of weapons right here are not the greatest, since to be honest, I don't feel like you're going to be using the auto bomb as much as a Hydra Splatling. I don't think you're going to be using it too much as a Bamboozler. I can see it with the Carbon Roller, maybe. I can definitely see it with the Blaster. I think Blaster would work well with it, but I'm not too sure with the Tetra Dualies though. I mean, you might be throwing it more, but I feel like the majority of the time when you're using Tetras is that you're focusing more on the rolling and all that type of jazz, so you might not use it as much with this weapon. You definitely do not need it on beacon weapons, so you can skip that. There may be some cases where last-ditch effort works well with point sensor weapons. To be very honest, it might not be so necessary with the selection with these ones. Like, honestly, the only one I feel like that maybe you'd want to use last-ditch effort on would be the Explosher, since the weapon's extremely ink hungry. And I think it would just be nice to always be able to have a Slosh always on deck when using this weapon, and also be able to use your sub-weapon a lot more often than usual. So it actually would work pretty well with Explosher, but there might be cases where you don't need to. You definitely do not need to use it on any Ink Mine weapon. You definitely can use it for Toxic Mist weapons. I could see it definitely on the Tri-Slosher. I can also see it on the Rapid Blaster Pro as well. I don't know about the Tri-Stringer too much. That might be something that would need a little bit more experimenting, but for sure, these two weapons, last-ditch effort would actually work really well. I don't think you need to use it on any of these two weapons, the Splash Up Pro or Jet Scorcher, although when the Splash Up Pro eventually gets a second kit where it has a bomb or anything like that, I think last-ditch effort's going to work extremely well for this weapon. And the torpedo weapons, I think last-ditch effort works extremely well for both of these, because with torpedoes, being able to throw them as much as you can works really, really well. Because at the same time, some of your torpedoes actually might get shot down, so being able to follow up with a second one as quick as you possibly can be really nice to use. I think it works extremely well on GooTuber, especially since you're throwing the torpedo a lot with this weapon. And being able to always have extra shots as a charger can be also really nice with this type of weapon too. So pretty much that's what I think last-ditch effort is good on. I think it's amazing when you're able to throw your bombs or toxic mist as much as possible. I think weapons greatly benefit by being able to use a sub-weapon whenever they can. Of course, there are some scenarios where I'm just like, maybe you don't need last-ditch effort, and maybe it's probably better off just to use your regular efficiency perks. It could be something like where you're using an Elite 4K or a Spider Scope, because I personally believe with those types of weapons, you're not going to be really getting much benefit from the sub-weapon being spammed as much as possible. You're mainly playing the exact same and just shooting and charging your shots and all that type of jazz. In those kinds of cases or weapons like that, I feel like just using Main Saver is just fine, because all you really need is the extra shots. And I think it's nice to always have those extra shots on deck when you're using a charger like that, so. But other than that, the amount of benefits you get when using last-ditch effort is crazy. And I can't believe they haven't nerfed it since Splatoon 2, because this is how last-ditch effort has been. So there you go, guys. That's what last-ditch effort does. I hope it informs you all greatly, because generally you don't really need any other efficiency perk when you have last-ditch effort right there. Like, the thing is, you can have last-ditch effort in a game, and if you win the game, then cool, you didn't have to use your last-ditch effort. But when it comes to the points where you're actually starting to lose, then yourself gets stronger and stronger throughout the battle, meaning you're going to be able to throw more bombs and be able to have more in the tank to be able to fight your enemies and overwhelm them that much more, you know? So that is exactly why you want to be using last-ditch effort. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's try and get to 200k subscribers. And of course, check the description. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. And also join the public Discord server where you can go ahead and talk to myself about Splatoon 3, find other people to play Splatoon 3 with, and also get notified whenever I go live for a Twitch stream. With all that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I shall see you guys in a future one.